And do you allow me to record that too?
Oh, yes, I can do that.
Um,
You should be able to now.
okay. Okay.
Get a big yawn out of the way. Hmm. So, hi everyone. I am here today with Christiane Busch, and she was in Invoke with us, the Soul Based Coach training program. And it's part of a series of conversations I'm having with people about how everyone is navigating these times. Because there's a lot of wisdom in the system, and these are unprecedented times. And so it is a very useful topic to check in with. So, Christiane, how do you navigate these times?
The first is to slow down because those times they are too fast. They are too fast for my system. So slowing down is just the first aid kit.
Mm.
Um, and for me, it's quite useful to turn inward, as for I think everybody. But well, okay, that's my stance to it. Um, and for that, I love this question and hate this question that we are always confronted with, and that is, what would you like to have happen? For me, this is it bounces my radiation back to myself, and it assumes that there is something that knows. Yeah, so that's part of my recipe, how to navigate these times, to turn
Mm.
inward. For example, with this question again and again and again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it assumes that something within knows the answer to what you would like to have happen.
yes.
Yeah. And it's such an interesting thing that you say you love the question and you hate the question. You want to say a little bit more about that?
Mm. The answers sometimes don't come easily. There's again a slowing down and an allowing for quietness needed and wait. But finally, it will come. It will
Mm.
come. I experience that.
Mm.
I find it quite helpful. And for me, it's like my light radiating out, and I hold, or somebody else helps me holding this around me, and then it bounces here and comes back to me. Yeah.
Mm. And that is the radiance, the light that can then also come towards you. And
Mm.
what difference does that make when the light can also come towards you?
Um, it keeps me from depleting. So if
Mm.
it's open all the time and I radiate out into the world all the time, constantly, um, it feels depleting. And for reorienting, this is needed. For me, this is needed. What
Mm.
would I like to have happen? Okay, let's step back for a moment. What would I like to have happen here and now?
Mm. Beautiful. It's such it's a small practice, right? In the sense that it's simple, and at the same time, it takes a bit of courage, doesn't it? Slowing down, but also the asking that question and going inward. At least that's how I experience that. Because
Mm,
it's often so much easier to go with all of the noise from the outside that keeps trying to hook our attention into it.
mm.
So we have to very consciously decide to do something different. Is that how you experience it too?
Yes, it needs awareness, commitment, decidedness, and sometimes the commitment to stick to a scheduled session with a peer is enough.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm, mhm. Yeah. And so I'm kind of thinking here that perhaps also a practice of holding space with a peer can be a really good way of doing this. Is that also what you're thinking of, or are you thinking also about coaching exchanges?
I'm thinking about coaching exchanges,
Mm,
specifically. Um, that's more that's one level more than being in a holding space place, which is wonderful, but it's more challenging. The other one, yeah.
the coaching exchange is more
The
challenging.
coaching exchanges is more challenging and even more useful in my experience. Mm.
Mm. And more challenging as in the role of client or in the role of coach?
In the role of client.
I was thinking that, but it's good to get that out loud. Ah, what kind of more challenging is it?
Um, Somehow it won't let me off the hook.
Mm,
And also, the time is a little bit longer than 2 or 3 minutes, maybe at least 20 minutes. And yeah, there's just more time to let things happen.
yeah, which means that you have to stay there, right? You have
Mm.
to stay with the uncomfortable of
Yes.
what is in the frame. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm. Yes. Slow down, turn inwards, and ask that question, what would I like to have happen?
Mm.
Given that this is as it is, like all of it, inside, outside, around.
Yes.
Yes. And the questions, like the answers to that question, don't always come immediately. But when
Mm.
you wait, they come. And it takes commitment, it takes decisiveness, and sometimes it just takes setting up a date
Mm.
with a peer for coaching exchange.
What also is important that the space is a loving space.
Mm.
So there's always the possibility for no answer to come yet, and that's also okay. And only with this, in my experience, it's possible to have
Mm.
the right embracing space to
Yeah,
receive. Yeah.
yeah. I love that you're saying this because I think for many people that might not be familiar with soul-based coaching, is the way that we coach is that we truly let go of outcome. Like that there doesn't need to be anything fixed or there's nothing that has to happen. But
Mm.
when we meet each other in this way and create this riverbed, then things will start to happen. But it is in that loving space, in that space where
Mm.
everything is welcome as it is.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a good
Mm.
contribution there as well. Thank you. A good addition. Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to share about how you navigate these times?
When turning inwards, like we just discussed or described, where to do I turn? What is there? And finally, it's the same place for everyone, and the core and the final center is the same place for everyone, but just a wee little bit beyond. It's very personal, and I love to connect with this fertile void or source or however you want to name it, where things just seem to come out of nothing, and they're there. And that's such an exquisite place to connect to.
Yeah, such a resourceful experience, isn't it? When these things
Mm.
emerge and show
Yes.
themselves. Yeah. So for me, the things that happen in that space are often about finding clarity, not the mind kind, but the whole system kind.
Mm.
Um, and also often a real sense of resourcefulness, of finding the embodied sense of things being possible or things even already happening in my body.
And that reminds me of one of those German stories. I don't know if it's known anywhere else, these stories of Baron Münchhausen. So he's the one, maybe 200 years ago, I don't know, So he was an actual person, but he was telling lie stories. And his stories always were lies. And I'm thinking of one specific story when he described how he was riding his horse and came into a swamp and started to drown deeper and deeper into the swamp. And what did he do? He picked his own hair and lifted himself out of the swamp, which in physical world apparently seems to be a lie. But in the other realm we're talking about here, it's true. Because
Mm.
first I have to have an idea where I am heading. And then it is happening somehow just because of it's there and I want to go there.
Mm. And then
Mm.
somehow magically we can lift ourselves up by the scruff of our necks, of our
Mm.
hair. Um, yeah, and
Yeah.
things can happen, but not from a forcing ourselves place, right? It comes from a very um, resourced and inspired place that
Mm.
can happen then. Mm.
For me, the story is like one I could have experienced in one of my sessions. Okay, and now when you're in the swamp and you're about to drown, what
What
would
would
you
you like
like
to
to
have
happen?
happen?
Yeah, I want to like get out of this swamp and
Yeah,
then start yeah, it starts
steps
happening.
process.
How could this happen? If there's nothing to hold on, okay, maybe here.
Yeah, yeah. And the logic of, because here we're then in our metaphor landscapes, right? We're in the depth of how our mind and body and psyche and soul, how they make sense of the world, and the process of metaphor is at the heart of that for everyone.
Mm,
And these metaphors have such exquisite powers because
mm,
when we experience the world through metaphor, that means that we are immediately engaging all of our thinking processes, feeling processes. And so when these metaphors, when we work with them and they share their wisdom with us, they
mm,
start to shift and change, and then all of a sudden we're in a different place, like quite literally. So
mm.
yeah, I love
And
this story. I'd heard of Baron von Munchausen, but I'm not necessarily sure I knew what the stories were about. Also, we have that saying of dragging yourself out by the hairs in our Dutch language, but it's beautiful to kind of go, oh, maybe this is where it came from. That's very fun. Yeah, it's really
maybe,
interesting.
I don't know. Maybe.
But yeah. Hmm.
And I would like to add something else that is we're not only living in this realm of metaphors and in inner life. So for me, it's a pulsation of turning inwards, maybe moving to another place or reflecting what would I like to have happen, and by that, slowly reaching another place of being or another rootedness for myself, and then opening up again. And there is this world, and that needs things to happen, at least in my thinking. And then I'm ready again and nourished again to do things there. I think it needs both.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
first turning inwards. Mm,
First turning inwards, resourcing yourself, getting that clarity, and
yeah,
then pulsing outward again. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree in the sense that I experience it very similarly, that
Mm,
if we're only focusing on outward, that depletes very quickly. If we're only going to turn inwards, that's very quickly going to get very, not very interesting, even. Right? It becomes a little, well, I guess there's a lot of people in the world that can do navel gazing really well, but that's not what this work is about. If you're staying present to what is, that you're also going to notice the impulse to go out again.
mm,
Because
right,
yeah, life needs both. Yeah,
right.
cool. Beautiful. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Cassiana?
Um, I decided for this, what I just described, this also turning outwards and doing things there, that I have decided to first stick to my normal money work, which is being a nature conservancy biologist, which I do for money earning. And that for a small amount of my time, I would love to offer this work and to hold space or ask this damn question to people. What would you like to have happen? And then holding this loving space for them to experience what comes up for them.
Beautiful. So if people would like to do that with you, where can they find you?
There's a web page, and I don't know. Am I supposed now to say that?
We'll link that in the comments.
Yes. So
yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So there's a web page, and there I can be reached.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Christiane. Thank you for this beautiful medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you all for watching and listening. And until we meet again.